Hello everyone and welcome back to Rebel Brick. Today I'm going to kind of showcase two of my older sets, mainly because I just kind of saw last night, early morning this morning, whatever it was, Lego is talking about doing another version of the Ghost. So with that being the case, I figured, I've got the old Ghost and it's sitting there getting dusty in my workroom, and I admit it sits there. I love the ship. I love the design. I really loved the idea that we had a shuttle that we could take out. Maybe it's because I'm one of those guys that I like a lot of the science fiction. I really loved it when the United States had our space shuttles and they were taking off and all that stuff. And I grew up with the tragedy of the Columbia blowing up and all that, and that was very, very tragic for a lot of people. It didn't affect me as much as some people, from what I understand, it did. It's an unfortunate thing that happens. Much like, however you feel about, we had that submarine or submersible that was trying to go down towards the Titanic. When we try to go out and see how much we can explore and into different boundaries that we're still experimenting with, that's where things get dangerous. And in some regards, it gets interesting. And you always hope for the best, but you expect the worst. But here we have the Ghost, and I have one of the later models of the Millennium Falcon. This is the one where a lot of people were happy with. I'm not saying I'm not, because this all opens up in just 4 different plates. Oops, if I have the gun turret sitting correctly. A lot of people were very ecstatic about it, and I think it is kind of cool. The only problem is, and I don't know what I was doing wrong, I had a problem with this part of it, and I don't know if you can see it in there. I think you had a pretty good view of everything. I'm going to dock this back in here. Actually, if I should have thought about this right before I started. I do have the other shuttle, and I don't know where I put it. I wish I had the other shuttle. I know I have at least 2 of those. I don't know where I have the other one. Oh, here it is. All right. So as I raise my voice, so hopefully you can hear everything I'm saying. Okay. So like I said, I like the shuttle. So silly me, here I am, and oh Jesus, it's all dusty. I have a second shuttle because, like I said, I liked the Rebels show. I liked the concepts. I was happy when I could pick up the second one when they came out with the second one, so we could have that, and we could actually, as I have dust balls all over the place here, I apologize. It's one of those things of I don't take these out. Like I said, these are models to me, and I have a messy basement and that, but they had done this so it could sit in here, and that was wonderful. So I do have both. This was based off of one of the what do they call them, centipede shuttles. So from the Separatists. I do like shuttles. I grew up liking Star Trek and Star Wars and all that stuff, and here we have Thrawn in the back, so obviously he came with this. I usually put the people in there with them. We have another piece in here. It's been a while since I've taken this out and opened it up, and that, as you can tell, I don't normally put any missiles in or whatever whenever we have the missiles available. So, and as a role-playing game, because I play role-playing games. We've done Star Wars as the old West End game Star Wars for over 20 years. I loved getting all the extra stuff and seeing the cartoons and being able to see the different areas that they came up with, because I could add it into my game, and then instead of trying to come up with what this stuff might have looked like, I have a better idea, and I can even explain it to the guys. This was kind of nice because it did open up. He did not have any real room to put anyone else in there, but I believe they had a cargo box that went in there. I don't know where it is, and I don't see one on the other one offhand, but we will try and find out. Otherwise, we have Ezra Bridger in here, and he's got his blaster, because I think this came out before they gave him his lightsaber. I will dock that in here. And if you wanted to, the other thing is when they did this, you could actually kind of dock it this way. It really was not meant to, but you could kind of set it in there. Like I said, I see that they're going to be doing a new version of this. I'm hoping it turns out a little bit better than some of the pictures I saw. And I'll kind of go over some of the things that I saw that I kind of worry a little bit about. No, I don't see a box in there either, so must not have had a box. And I wanted to have this out here so you could see the size difference, because you know, so many people know the Millennium Falcon. They like the Millennium Falcon. To me, I really like the Millennium Falcon, but I know it more as a modified YT-1300. Very common and as a starting ship as to what we would use. And this is the part that always got me, because this was all supposed to go in and sit so you could open it all up. And I don't know what I did wrong on that front, but I just never got it quite right. I like the other ones a little bit better. Yeah, there's little gaps there, but I didn't have that same problem there. So whatever I do when I'm building, and I'm never going to say I'm an expert. I enjoy this stuff. I follow the directions as best I can. I know sometimes I skip a spot or miss a piece, and then you got to go back and you got to try and fit it in there. And I'm guilty of that quite often. I'm going to flip this upside down because this is something I wanted to show you. One of the parts that worries me, they had this to come out, and you could put either Zeb in there or Kanan. Typically Zeb would be in the back gun from the old cartoon, if you kind of remember it. Kanan would be sitting up here. Hera's always piloting. It looks like they're going to give a little bit more room here. I know this comes up, but I'm not exactly certain how. There it is. See, this comes up, and then there's missile launchers in here. So let me hold that up here so I know you can see that. So this comes up on both sides, and then they had like little missile launchers or something in there, which I don't put in. Trying to remember where it's at, because I know they were in there, but I don't see where they are. There was a reason for that to be down there, and there was something in there, and I remember that. The only other spot besides this, you know, this area right here, because this doesn't come up, and it looks like you're going to have a little bit more room to move around in here, which looks really great. The things that worry me is when I flip over, we have this on the bottom, because if you remember, I know trying to do this as a play set and to keep it under a certain cost, you know, we didn't have the ramp underneath there. But there was actually a small primary storage bay here, and then this was supposed to, if I'm correct, hold. I think this kicks that out. Nope, that's sliding that out. That's the gunnery station. I think it was supposed to hold about 150 metric tons. So this, these areas, and then in this would actually have been storage, but you had your main entrance right into here, so everything was supposed to kind of go in through there. You know, when you're talking about food and stuff like that, you can usually haul that in smaller boxes. And the other thing is they had Kanan's bike, and he had a couple cargo containers, and they would put that in there. So if that's really how you're transporting a lot of cargo containers, you don't need so much of the like forklifts and stuff like that, like what we need today to move a lot of that stuff. If you have containers that can just kind of hover just a little bit off the floor and you can kind of push it, that makes a big difference as to what kind of machinery you need to move it around. And then they have loading droids and stuff like that that can actually move things up and put them where they need to go. Or if you want to, if you're a little older like I am and you want to say they like to pick things up and set them down, making some fun. Here's our shooters. So I don't know what I had underneath there that I just kind of, it always stuck in my mind that there was a reason for having something in there. As I set this down, I know these come up. These open up. And I don't remember exactly how. So you're going to watch me either break this or pop this out. And I want to say this pops out. This kind of comes up and comes out. But I'm not exactly certain how I did that before, because I do remember, and I can hear it, I have figures in there. So I have Zeb in one and Ezra or Zeb and Kanan in them somewhere, and somehow this pops up and out. And you know, like I said, you're either gonna watch me break this all, and that sits pretty well, so that's got to be able to come out. Let me flip this over again before I really do break this. Okay, so that is actually built in here. So this is struts to hold that in. So that means that this comes up. Oh, I popped that off. And I'm trying to get this, and it seems like it just wants to come off, but not quite. And I do remember this was always a little bit of a challenge in the past, but I guess I'll just have to leave it, and then whatever's in there is stuck in there for now. But the new one that I saw, somebody had a picture of, they did have the nice dome on the front. This came out so that way you could put a gunner in here. But the thing that I did not see, I saw the turret on the bottom, but I didn't see this, and I didn't see these. So I remember the old cartoon, the ghosts would just kind of fly, didn't really have to put any landing gear down because it was already meant to be landing struts right there, just built in, and it would just kind of land. And what they have now is they actually have landing struts that are going to be coming down in these three areas, if the picture is correct for what they're talking about. So, you know, it's something to see. The video I heard, and I don't remember who had done the video. I know it was a gentleman that did it. Seemed good. But the only thing that worries me is if we have landing struts here, but we don't have our cargo bay. They're talking about like $170 or something possibly for it. Good chance I'm still probably going to pick it up, and we'll get it picked up, and we'll put them side by side. But it's something like I said, I see something that excites me here because, like I said, I did like the show. It was a very well done show, having the Rebels. Brought in a bunch of new locations and like the beginning of the rebellion and all that stuff and that. I think I have 3 different Millennium Falcons put together. I should probably do another one where I have all 3 of them. I'll have to try and figure out where I'm putting all my space stuff, because I've got a permanent mess on my pool table nowadays, because I'm trying to do the factory, which is going to be a set, and that's in my workroom, and then all my other stuff is going to be shot right here. So as we take this journey together, and I'm trying to come up with the different sets and building things and all that, this is the location. So this is going to be my everywhere set or area. So if we're going to be on the moon, we're going to be on Mars, and Neptune is my other place I'm trying to do for a space. Or if we're just going to be shooting out in space, then I will have some black paper down below so it looks like we're flying out in space. As you see this, if you have any recommendations for something that seems silly, and if it seems like something I can get away with doing for work, please let me have a comment. That'd be wonderful. Sometimes I like to think I'm kind of creative, but there are times, and I know I ran into it yesterday. I was working on my um, offices and that in the factory, and then after I was done doing that, it's like, this isn't enough to show you guys what I'm doing. You're gonna see it when we're doing our comics, but sometimes I run out of creativity ideas, and then it'll kind of come to me in another day or two, and that usually when I'm doing my role-playing games and stuff like that, which is usually where I'm really trying to create stuff, because I end up making my own worlds. And I've done that with Star Wars as well. I will carve out a small little section of the universe and say, hey, we're just running around out here. So whether I'm running a couple YT-1300s, or I think they called this the oh shoot, I want to see it like a V1000 series or something like that. It's been a while since I looked up the stats for what we had called it. I do know that they did say what this was, and we do have stats, but I grew up with this, so sometimes with the other ships I kind of forget what we were calling them. This is actually supposed to be a bigger ship than what this is. It is supposed to be longer. It does have more cargo area, but the modifications and everything else, if you can ever see some of the books of what people had done, there was 3 models just for the Millennium Falcon, where you had the cockpit off on the right side, the left side, or even in the center. And then they had different people, because they weren't using the cargo area really for cargo. They just souped it up, and they had some big engines and cut out in here, and other people had added on essentially wing cargo areas, and it got really creative for a while there, seeing some of the things that people had come up with. And this is all in the expanded universe, which I read some of the books and picked up a little here and a little there, but I spent a lot of time just trying to create my own worlds and my own area to play in. But hopefully you enjoy what I'm showing you here today. I thank you for watching. Thank you for visiting Rebel Brick. I'll see you next time, and keep bricking.